So we are back with Dakota of Jardinière, but also Dressed by Dakota. And this is our third episode with her because she's that amazing.
Oh my gosh.
And so we've talked about her amazing floral design business. We've talked about her phenomenal 4-outfit change wedding. And now we're going to talk about what inspired you to launch Dressed by Dakota.
Fabulous. Great. I can't wait.
Yeah. So I want to know a little bit more about your background outside of floral design because we were talking earlier and you mentioned fashion. So tell me kind of what that background looks like.
Sure, absolutely. Fashion was always my dream. Since I was really, really young age, I always wanted to work in fashion, particularly in publications. I picked NYU for school because I wanted to be in New York City and kind of position myself to have as much exposure as I could. And I started working pretty quickly with the Jones Apparel Group, which was great. I had a wonderful mentor there who walked me through pretty much every aspect of creating a garment. So, you start in color, then you move into fabric, pattern, print. And then from there, I was able to jump over to magazines. I started at Elle. I don't even remember. It's all the years run together after 30. So I'm somewhere, I can hear my mother rolling her eyes. So I'm somewhere between like 20 and 21, 22. I was with Elle magazine and then went over to Paris for a little while for CR Fashion Book, which Corinne Rotfeld, who had been previously the editor of Vogue Paris, had just launched. And I got to work on issues 1, 2, and 3, which was really an honor. From there, back to New York City for Cosmopolitan, and then freelanced for a couple of publications and worked on some other projects before coming home to the Low Country, and falling into floral design. And truly, not that fashion wasn't my calling, it absolutely was and could have been. But I think at some point I was looking for a little bit different lifestyle.
Okay.
And I missed the Low Country. I missed my family and I wanted to experience a little bit more of a private life, I think, than where my career was heading. So to get to revisit that part of myself or to get to bring that to the front again is such a joy. But at the same time, now it's really much more on my terms. And that's been really the biggest blessing.
Yeah. So I'm not going to spill everything, but when I say what inspired you to launch Dressed by Dakota, there's a little story behind there. So tell me about that.
So I've got this fabulous girlfriend, Tori of Pissera Events. She is a spectacular wedding planner and a life-size Barbie. And she and I really hit it off and she's a really great friend and super fun to go shopping with and dress. She does a lot of events in her business, a lot of promotional things and publicity things. And of course, every wedding to her, fashion is a big part of it. So I just sort of had been enjoying, not helping her. I wouldn't say that. She's extremely stylish. She doesn't need any help, but just sort of supplementing, ideas and different looks, for her many events. And she said, Dakota, this is a business and I want you to start talking to Pissera brides. And I was like, no, Tori, I'll do this let's just do this forever. This is just friendship, I love this. And she's like, no, you've really got the experience. So she surprised me with a logo and it's just really been wildly exciting ever since then. I can't believe how much it's taken off, to be honest with you. But also I feel like I've got a much better understanding, especially having been a bride, of what you actually need and what support I could provide to other brides or anybody interested in event dressing in particular.
Yeah.
It's certainly something that I'm passionate about. And I feel like it's a great way to honor that part of myself because I wouldn't say that floral and fashion don't overlap all that much, but I do live every day in, sweatpants and an old t-shirt because being a florist means getting really dirty.
Yes.
So it's been fun to kind of just take that hat off for a little while and put on the glamorous one.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And I saw some of your images from your branding shoot for yourself for that. Phenomenal.
Thank you.
They were absolutely stunning. And so when we talk about, you mentioned brides, Pissera brides. When we talk about brides or grooms getting ready for the wedding day, what is missing when it comes to styling their day?
I think thinking about it in the context of beyond just the bride, but also the groom, mothers, bridal party, everybody in attendance and making sure they're all cared for. Of course, I wouldn't say that any bride is overlooked in the sense of like, they're not prepared for their day. They are. Is everybody else?
True.
And it shouldn't really be your job as the bride to make sure everybody else is prepared. You've got enough on your plate. Yeah. So making sure everything is properly steamed, everything's properly fitted, the accessories all match, that everything works in harmony together as a whole, but still sort of orbits around the bride and groom, I think is really important. And there's a lot of supplementary tasks that if you've got a wedding planner, who's offering to handle it, that's fantastic. But if you've also got a really large production that the wedding planner also has to manage, or a very unique dress fitting situation, to have somebody whose sole responsibility is to make sure everything is steamed, itemized, credited, and prepared exactly when it needs to be and cared for as you make these changes, I think is really, really important. And that allows your planner or your parents or whoever it is that's managing this for you, bridesmaids, mothers, allows them time to be more present, and you won't get photos back and see a wrinkle here or, everything will be a little bit more effortless and a little more enjoyable because everything will be photo ready and perfect.
Yeah. So when we talk about the overall look of whoever you're styling, whether it's the mother or the bride, whether it's for an event or something like that, what do they typically overlook when it comes to that overall stepping out fully dressed? What do they typically overlook? Is it the right shoes? Is it the right accessory? Too many accessories?
I don't think comfort is prioritized enough. I don't know if that's a hot take, but I think that there's a mentality that like, obviously beauty is pain, you suffer for the look, which we've all done, no shade. But I think especially for event dressing, not so much the bride who has the opportunity to change, although mothers, you're more than welcome to. My mother did, it was fantastic. But making sure that you are presenting in your photographs and with your guests as your most confident, best self.
Because it will show up in photos.
Absolutely. If you're constantly tugging or hiding, you need to look like the most confident version of yourself, whatever that is.
Yeah.
And so prioritizing that, I think, is really the best advice I could give.
I love it. What or how do you approach the styling holistically for someone? Someone comes to you and says, I have this event coming up, whether it's wedding or not wedding, maybe it's an engagement session. Then how do we look at that holistically?
Probably very similar to how I do floral design. I want to know way more information than you probably think that I care about, but I do. I want to know what you like in your wardrobe currently. I want to know your favorite colors, what makes you feel the most confident when you're wearing certain cuts or styles. I want to know what your house looks like. I want to know what the event decor is going to look like. I want to know the occasion, like what's your date wearing? I want to know all of these things just because it might spark some sort of connecting point or inspiration or something that can just elevate the look that much more. Even if it's a small detail that only like you and I will know.
Yeah.
That's still special. That's still special to you and me.
Exactly. Yeah. And you.
Like, I want to do my best work for you and to see you walk out and be the most confident version of yourself. Mm-hmm. I mean, what more could you want?
Yeah. Yeah. And having been on stage before, I will say I have made some missteps with mics and all the other things, and comfort did not come into my brain until I was 5 minutes into something. So she knows what she's talking about. 100%. She's on point. Everything she's saying. So let's talk about what's one styling decision that can instantly elevate a bridal look for the wedding day. Or maybe two.
I would say your jewelry. Mm-hmm. I think a lot of people worry about what it looks like, if it's real, where it's come from. And I think the most important part about those accessories is something that matches the scope of the look and that has meaning to you. For my wedding, I bought a veil to wear that whole week during setup, like while I was a florist, because I thought that was funny. So I had like a uniform, obviously, like I'm in my black Jardinière / amazing uniform shirt and my jeans, and I'm running around with like this little white bow veil, like very 1960s in my hair, because I think that's funny. I wore it for my ceremony. And it was from Etsy and it cost like $60. So I think, I would take some of the pressures off the accessories and wear things that are meaningful to you. Where you find them doesn't matter. If it comes from family, that's even better. So
I love that. And now you will always remember that. It wasn't just a veil that you bought off Etsy. Now it has this storyline with it. That's
absolutely
amazing. I
don't know how I kept it clean, but I did.
That's even more amazing because I know how messy
setup is.
Absolutely.
Hats off to my staff because I don't think they let me lift a single thing that whole week.
Good. I love that. So forward thinking, because I know you have some opinions. I've loved them so far. Check out the first 2 episodes of the podcast with her. But where do you see bridal styling going in the next few years?
I want to follow you to every event. I know this sounds absolutely insane, but I want to fly to your house. I want to set up a rack of clothes. I want to dress you for everything that's going, every event, your bachelorette, bridal, engagement, photo shoots, parties. I want to set up a rack. I want to tailor everything to you. I want to pack it in a suitcase. I want to fly with you to the Airbnb, steam it all, unpack it, label it for you, and you get to enjoy and feel confident. And then I just think that there could be more hands-on service.
Yeah.
And I want to be there, and I think that that's probably something. I know a lot of styling right now is virtual.
Yes.
And I completely understand that, and I respect it, and I do it virtually as well. I would love to be in a position where me and people that I trust are offering you that elevation where we're there and we're flying with you and we're making sure that every event is perfect, especially in the age of social media where everything is on Instagram, everything has a professional photographer.
Yes.
And everything's documented. And I think that there's something that all of us, every bride or every woman has felt self-conscious about during this process. So if there's one thing that I could provide to make you feel a little more comfortable with all the attention that you're about to get, to me, that's valuable.
Yeah. And such a stress reliever for anybody that is in that limelight that's having to deal with that.
Yes.
Absolutely. So what excites you most about this next chapter, this new business? Obviously, that service that you just mentioned and being able to do that. But what excites you most about this?
Probably that I wouldn't say that there's a tremendous amount of pressure on it. I don't have a set of expectations or a set of goals. I think with Jardinière, starting that, being young and it being my first business and a business that does have to come with overhead to some extent. Yeah. We're getting technical. You have to have a space. You have to have glass, you have to have vases, flowers to get to be in something that really just gets to go off of vibes.
Yeah.
Like wherever it takes me, it takes me.
Creativity.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like it's just so nice to have something that, that feels a little bit more effortless. It's still a lot of effort, don't get me wrong, but like it's a different kind.
It's a different energy.
It's a different energy. And to be able to have more than one creative outlet, I think is fun because it's just great to take some of that pressure off. Just to get to be different people. Like I get to be a florist. I get to be a bride. I get to be stylish. I get to be Dakota. Like I get to be all these different things and I don't have to just be one thing.
Love that. Love that. So as we wrap up these 3 episodes, what does being an architect of the aisle mean to you through florals, through fashion, and having experienced all of this as a bride?
Well, I am still adjusting to the thought that I could ever be considered an architect of anything. So still coming to terms with that, in general. But I think that's pretty common as women and small business owners in general. I think we all maybe have a hard time accepting some praise.
Yeah.
And looking back and recognizing our growth and kind of seeing, how far we've come and what we have to offer. I think for me at this point, where I am in my life right now, what this means is having the experience to be able to recognize what makes me the most happy and what's best for me and our business. And that's getting to work with, vendors that I, respect and collaborate with, and working with couples who I look forward to getting to know, and it's engaging and it's rewarding and it's meaningful, and I can provide an experience to them to make this exciting but very stressful time in their lives a little more positive. And I think that only time gives you that perspective. And I'm grateful that I've been in this industry long enough to have some of that. It flies.
It does fly.
It flies.
It does fly. Yeah. So fast. So very, very fast. Well, Dakota, thank you so much for being a part of this for 3 episodes. It has been a delight. But here's the deal, guys. If you want no holds barred, all the tea, if you're a vendor and you want to hear all the things about what it is to produce weddings in the Lowcountry, then make sure that you check out Off the Aisle. Information is going to be available either in the podcast itself or on the video if you're watching it on that format. But that's the tea that we're saving for a little bit later. So thanks for watching or listening.
Thank you so much for having me, Meredith. It's been a pleasure to be here.
It is. Thank you so much.